With the first 2 games out of the way, there's still one more game left in the KO the Kangaroo series to cover, and to think the first 2 were obscure, people that are aware of the series, many of them don't even know there was a 3rd game. Meme. KO Mystery of the Volcano, the 3rd main entry in the series, released only on PC in 2006. From my understanding, it was only released in Poland. I at least know it never came to Europe or North America. I suppose the first 2 games didn't sell well enough internationally to warrant localizing it to many other countries this time. This game only runs on Windows XP, and I couldn't get a physical copy of it either, so it was quite the process getting this game to work. I had to dig out my old computer from years back. Oh my god, I seriously had an Assassin's Creed 3 wallpaper? This must have been from high school, late 2011, early 2012 I last used this thing. While I got the thing out here, why don't we take a look at we got some videos. Dang, what am I looking at? How young am I in this? Anyway, KO the Kangaroo 3. I can't read any of that. I don't know what any of this says. Luckily, there has been an unofficial fan-made translation for English. A big shout out to Freezing Ice Kirby for their work on that, and even offering to help me get the game to work on my computer. So finally, here we go. KO the Kangaroo 3, Mystery of the Volcano. I gotta say, I think the title screen is much more fitting this time. Music's upbeat, the sky's bright and blue. Definitely a much better representation of the kind of vibe these games go for. Definitely a step up from KO Round 2's dreary pirate theme. First thing the game has us doing is piloting a plane. It's more or less like a tutorial teaching us how to use the plane, which is very strange putting it right here at the very beginning because you don't fly the thing again until the very end of the game. Anyway, your Pelican flight instructor falls out of the plane into the volcano, thus starting the adventure to rescue him. The plot's a lot different this time around. The hunter is nowhere to be seen, and instead, we find ourselves on Pelican Island fighting to free the inhabitants of the island from the volcano's curse. To do that, KO must find the 4 ancient artifacts, each one resting on a different part of the island. Pelican Village acts as this game's hub world. It's a big step up from KO Round 2's Dockyard hub world. Instead of talking to the bee to access a level select, you actually enter different levels by traveling to different parts of the hub world. You know, kinda like hub world should be. Now, while it is a step up, that's not to say it's that great a hub world. There's a couple of NPCs to talk to, but that's really it. There's nothing to explore here, no collectibles to find. There's all these houses, but no one lives in them. You can't go in them. The whole thing just seems kinda empty. It's a bit disappointing. It seemed really promising at first, but nah. KO sports the exact same moveset he had in Round 2. You've got the combos, the ground pound, everything here's the same, with the exception of the glide move. While in Round 2 it was a bonus for collecting stars, in KO 3 you'll unlock a paraglider at a certain part of the story. I like the paraglider a lot more. Something about the weight of your character while using it feels a lot more natural than... well, to be completely honest, I don't even know what was going on around 2, but whatever this is, it feels better than that. You can also use it in updrafts to gain additional height, similar to Wind Waker using a Deku Leaf or, you know, Rayman 2. KO also sports an updated design. His model and animations are more or less copy-pasted from the previous game, but he's got some new threads, now sporting an Indiana Jones-style fedora and a brown jacket. He's still got that cute-ass personality, too. Some of the idle animations were straight-up reused, though the neck thing isn't in this game. As far as I could tell, there are no bodies of water you can enter that causes his neck to expand. That's so lame. That was like the thing I love these games for. I can't believe they didn't put it in this one. You know, after seeing how Ty the Tasmanian Tiger evolved over the 3 games, you know, gaining more articles of clothing each time, I do like what they did with KO. I mean, instead of just chucking more belts on him in an attempt to make him look cooler, they decided on a costume that fits the adventurous nature of the new game. And, well, that's what the game really is, an adventure platformer. It is really similar to the previous game. I'd argue that the level design is a little more interesting at times, though. KO can now grab and push blocks. The game's a little heavier in the puzzles, which I also did like. I think we all know you can't explore a temple without having some sort of puzzles in there. You can also grind in this game, like on rails. It's exactly like Ratchet & Clank, so I guess you can just add that to the list of games that KO's copied. I did find the game very lacking in enemy design, though. There's only 4 kinds of enemies in the whole game. The little dudes you can take out in one hit, the lava dudes, the flying guys, which are incredibly annoying, and these volcano-looking guys. That's it. it. Get used to fighting these guys over and over because you're not seeing anything more than them. The combat does feel a little bit better than KO2 though. I think the change in projectile is really what does it. It's no longer a boomerang but now sticks of dynamite. The way you lob it forward instead of shooting it plain and straight feels a little more satisfying, like it has weight to it or something. There's also no longer enemies that'll fire projectiles directly at you, which I really feel is what made the combat so clunky in round 2 since, you know, the controls just weren't fluid enough to be able to comfortably dodge them. Health is also a lot more limited this time. I mean, instead of having a gigantic health bar, you've got 4 hit points, closer to something like Mario Galaxy. With less health, I had more incentive not to get hit, and I find that made the game better? I don't know, it's kinda weird. I definitely wouldn't feel that way if you still got hit all the time, so I guess they created a better balance? But even still, the combat is far from amazing. You kinda just chuck dynamite at dudes, and yeah, I don't know. It's better, but it could still be better. The vehicle stages once again return. Like I mentioned earlier, there's that plane stage. That's the last one, though. You just shoot down these other planes. It's not that fun. And the sequence lasts a lot longer than I would have liked to. The motorboat also returns. It's alright. I didn't mind that one. It's no longer a race, but like a time trial of sorts where you have to get through the rings on time. It's okay. The one I really didn't like was this high-speed Tron-looking race. You're in this tube and you can steer across the entire circumference of the thing, but it's really hard not to crash into anything because it gets really disorienting going from being upside down to being upright, back and forth in quick succession. It's too much for the brain to keep up with. I kept crashing into things because my hands didn't know whether to push left or right on the stick half the time. What they really should have done is kept the camera oriented with your vehicle, not with the pipe. Kind of like this. I'll try to... Yeah, kind of like that. I feel that would have made this a lot more playable. The checkpoint bells were also replaced with checkpoint tents. They're a lot less frequent, I find, which helps the game from feeling a little too forgiving like KO2 did. I mean, it's not like they're too infrequent now. I feel it hits a better balance again. I found the level design to be a little more engaging this time too, a lot more variety in how you'll get KO from point A to point B. The paraglider really helps with that. The large-scale sequences where you'll glide over long stretches of level added a nice mix to the game, especially the final level. I really liked it. You go down this big shaft, busting up each propeller so you can go down even further, but the whole time you can use the updraft to freely explore any sublevel you want. It's super cool. And then when you get the artifact, it's a scramble to get the hell back out of there because the lava starts rising. Now, while I think the game's content is a step up from round 2, I mean a small step, but a step up nonetheless, the amount of content here makes the game a little difficult to recommend. While KO Round 2 sported around 15 levels, KO 3 only has 4. It seems like the first chapter of a much bigger game than a full game in itself. The levels are a bit longer than KO2's were, but that doesn't come close to making up for it. The ending felt really rushed too. After beating the final and only boss, it just takes you back in the hub world and the credits roll over the gameplay. Like, you're still in control, it's just that the credits are... There's no end cutscene or anything, really. You can talk to the NPCs and they'll be like, "Good job, KO, you saved the island," but that's it. There's no ending. KO 3 was an interesting experience. It's really similar to KO Round 2. I mean, they added some things to make the game a little bit more fun, but even still, it's really samey. It honestly feels a lot more like an expansion pack rather than a full-fledged sequel. I did enjoy it though. I mean, it's another good helping of KO Round 2, more so without the more unpolished parts of the game, but even still, at such a short length, it is difficult to recommend. I mean, only 4 levels long. Holy cow. I mean, it's not really worth the effort trying to get this old game to work on an older computer or through a Windows XP emulator or something like that. Unless you're really curious and that sort of thing comes naturally to you, then sure, go for it, but otherwise, it's not really worth the effort. But I suppose that's it for a little kangaroo friend. 3 mediocre adventures, and a pile of poop that I flushed down the toilet. Kinda lame it ends with such a whimper though, but hey, for 3 mediocre ass games that pretty much ripped off Crash and Rayman, I thought they were pretty okay. KO's definitely going down in my books as one of my favorite B-grade mascots. I love mediocre games with cute characters that jump around, as you guys can probably tell. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching the KO the Kangaroo Marathon. It was really cool to get another bigger series of platformers out of the way. It took 4 videos. I think it's more than really taken to do other than like tie, but whatever. Yeah, keep suggesting those obscure platformer games and I'll keep doing them. I got a lot more planned for the rest of this year. I hope you guys will look forward to that. So until then, I'll see you guys later.